This channel is only possible thanks to direct contributions from viewers like Kronos, Karazin Magi, Argus, Milk, Bleed Red, Aria Reed, Christopher Welch, Jacob Sandoval, and you. If you'd like to contribute to making more videos like this possible, you can do so for as little as $1 a month on Patreon, or by buying a t-shirt at the merch store. Thanks a bunch, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey gang, Taz here. Since Classpects are one of the most popular subjects people tend to ask me about, and I've been thinking about doing this sort of thing forever, let's talk about Classpects not in and of themselves, and not in relation to Homestuck, but in relation to other characters in fiction. But first, what are Classpects anyway? Well, they're a fantasy class system that plays off the Hero of Time title Link gets in Ocarina of Time. In Homestuck, players of the comic's Magic game get labeled as a particular class of hero, implying certain skills and loose character attributes, in association with a particular aspect of reality their skills are particularly attuned to. In essence, this means it's Homestuck's personal take on what bending style would this character use, or what Hogwarts house are they from. But Homestuck's reality includes the fact that it is a story, and its aspects partly describe metatextual and metaphysical realities, not just literal ones. So they tend to mesh well with both the native power systems of other stories and the actual characters' thematic and emotional arcs. Plus, they're just a fun way to play pretend. We're covering Steven Universe first because it's basically my favorite modern show in contemporary fandom, and as it happens, the crystal gems have already been classpected for me. Steven Universe storyboard artist Amber Egomatter drew and tweeted them at Andrew Hussey, and he was a fan of the Pecs. I like them too, so we're just gonna roll with these and see what comes out of applying the readings. So let's dive right in. Amethyst, the Rogue of Void. Amethyst's existence before meeting Rose is devoid of meaning, purpose, or even much awareness of her own thoughts and interior world. Without a strong sense of self, all she's aware of is the barren wastelands of the kindergarten and her own personal whole. This lines up well with the aspect of void, which is associated with emptiness, absence, and nothingness. Void is all of the things that don't exist, everything that could possibly lurk in darkness, whether it's the darkness of a hole or the vast voids of space. It's potential in that which hasn't yet come into being. Both fittingly and counterintuitively, it's also associated with the superficial state of things, and so the physical. After all, simply looking at a human being or a gem doesn't really convey the full sense of what either of them are. It only tells you something about the outer shell that contains the person. Amethyst's psyche is shaped partly by her ability to first compare her own physicality to that of others, imitate them, and then differentiate herself and begin developing an understanding of what her physicality means for her and her expression of self. Early in life, this is by and large an intuitive, emotional process for Amethyst, influenced by people like Vidalia, whose art opens up horizons Amethyst wouldn't have considered by herself. She's primarily shaped, of course, by her role models in the other crystal gems, Rose, Pearl, and Garnet. From the moment she's born, she sees herself as part of a rebellion. Though the nature of the enemy and homeworld she's rebelling against is completely unknown to her, the unknown, again, a key facet of Void, she nevertheless defines herself by opposition to authority. This ties into her class, the Rogue. Robin Hood's band of merry gentlemen are defined by standing against an established power structure, existing as outlaws who survived by banding together in camaraderie. The Rogue reflects this social archetype, both in their flaunting of social norms and a cavalier attitude towards the rules, and a strong drive towards companionship and belonging. Amethyst is a deeply community-oriented person, which she shows both early in the story when her insecurities about not feeling approved of by Pearl and Garnet lead her to lash out, and later when Jasper makes her feel inadequate and unworthy by the standards of Homeworld. Ultimately, Amethyst learns to value herself and rely on the opinions of the people who also value her, whether that's Steven and the Gems or the other Amethysts. Pearl, the Maid of Hope. The Maid is most strongly defined by being initially bound to a role of servitude, so intense that it crushes their true sense of self, until the Maid finds the inner strength and perspective to transcend that assigned role entirely. So, yeah. That's exactly what Pearl has to do to discover who she is beyond her status as just a Pearl. Losing that Pearl conditioning is a long-term process for her though, and doesn't happen in a straight line. This is because even though she sheds the identity of having to be a subservient Pearl by nature, she immediately throws herself into a subservient relationship with Rose Quartz, branding herself as a knight in service to Rose. Hope is the aspect of want and desire, and is specifically associated with romantic desire, which obviously ties into Pearl's needy longing for Rose's attention, and later her long-standing grief over Rose's death. Hope is associated with the imaginary, or with fantasies, becoming real, and in a sense, Pearl literally makes Rose Quartz up out of her own imagination. Pink Diamond forever wearing the fantasy hero disguise that Pearl came up with for her. Pearl eventually grows out of self-sacrificing and subservient behavior with regards to Rose and, in her place, Steven, but it takes her a while. Well after Rose's death and well into the show before she really starts doing so. She's only able to finally finish turning the corner on the struggle once Steven finally reveals the truth about Rose Quartz's nature as Pink Diamond, finally freeing Pearl from Pink Diamond's final command. From which point on, Pearl spends the rest of the story figuring out how she wants to exist entirely on her own terms, without the shadow of Pink or Rose looming behind her. In so doing, she re-embraces her loyalty to Steven and the rest of the Crystal Gems, but for herself this time, and on her own terms, claiming the ability to imagine her own hopeful future. And I'd love to go into Garnet and Steven next, but I think we're out of time for this one. I hope you stick around for next time when we take a look at them. I also hope you enjoyed the ride, and until next time, keep rising! Huge thanks go out to my patrons for making this video possible. If you want to help support the channel and come join us at our awesome and growing Discord community, feel free to join us for as little as $1 a month. You can also find me on the r/Hiveswap Reddit and Discord. That's all for now, so thank you again, and as always, keep rising.